do the ground.
Arun Kharath to speak on research opportunities in life sciences, and presently he is a professor in School of Life Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, which is just ranked in second position in NIRF ranking 2020. Yesterday only result declared. Not only is professor in life sciences, but he is also a coordinator of internal quality assurance cell of the JNU University, New Delhi. He has completed BSc as well as MSc from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. In 1991, he completed BSc from Jadbuke College and MSc from Yashwantrao Chavan College of Science, Karad. He qualified SET from Pune University in 1995. That means first batch or first SET examination in the master state. He completed PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in 2000. He is a recipient of many awards, but the most prominent are Postdoctoral Fellowship Award from University of Joseph Fourier, France, Rockefeller Fellowship Award from Rockefeller University, New York, USA. He also has been worked as a director of UGC Human Resource Development Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He was also an academic director of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University Subcampus, Usmanabad. Also worked as professor in biotechnology at same university, that is Marathwada University. Actually, he started his career as a scientific assistant at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, and then as an assistant professor in microbiology at Abasaheb Garware College, Pune. As on today, he has published more than 40 research papers in international journals. Also, he has submitted more than 30 nucleotide sequences to various gene banks. About 6 students have completed their PhD degree under his guidance, and 5 are in pipeline. He has guided 3 international students for their PhD work. Also, he is a reviewer for many research articles that are published by American Society of Microbiology, Blackwell Publisher, Rockefeller Press, Wiley Academic Publisher, Science Domain, Bioinfo Publications. He also worked as a referee for evaluation of theses for PhD from Pune University, Shivaji University, Bharati Vidyapeeth Deemed University, North Maharashtra University, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Pune, and also Dr. D.Y. Patil Deemed University, Kolhapur. He also has been worked as a chairman of Board of Studies in Biotechnology of Marathwada University, member of Board of Studies in Forensic Science of same university, member of BOS in Biotechnology of Swami Ramananda Teeth, Marathwada University, Nanded, and of Solapur University, Solapur. He has delivered so many lectures in many international and national institutes, and also worked as a resource person in many national and international conferences, as well as in orientation and refresher programs. So we are very fortunate that today he is available for us through his heavy schedule. So I once again welcome to Dr. Kharath sir and request him to deliver his speech on the topic, that is research opportunities in life sciences. So please, Dr. Arun sir.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Mali sir. I'm delighted to be part of this national seminar, which is web-based. And what I'm going to bring in front of you in another 45 minutes or so is the very exciting aspect of microbiology, which in itself connects to the various branches of whole biology. And in last 10 years, it seems that microbiology has completely reshaped. And this is what excites me while teaching in Abasaheb Garware College, whether that is in 94. And can you see the slides? Can you see the slides?
Yes. Just you.
Yeah. So whether it is a teaching at Abasaheb Garware College, Pune, or whether I was teaching in Usmanabad in the Department of Biotechnology, I always wondered, like, what was microbiology for, and where are we? Like, kahan aa gaye hum? So sort of that like microbiology was evolved or it started as a, out of panic. Right now we are very much panicked with this pandemic of COVID-19. And similarly, once upon a time, 200 years before also, the human society was in panic, and they were always afraid about microbes and microbial infections. And this is where microbiology came in the play, or the subject of microbiology started to endeavor studying and dynamic aspects of microorganisms. If I look back today, wealth of phenomena of biology, chemistry, and biochemistry are the gift of microorganisms, and especially microorganism Escherichia coli. If I say E. coli is a mother of recombinant DNA technology, it would not be very wrong. It is a womb of E. coli that has harbored and carried several different principles of central dogma and various other aspects of engineering, regulation, etc., and gave a lot of ways like a surrogate system or surrogate mother. But I think today, if microbiology, if I have to say, it is not even a bacteriology, it is more of ecology. And microbiology's original purpose of medical microbiology seems to have been marginalized almost, and it is a part of curriculum only during the third year BSc or second year BSc. And in master's, it has become a molecular biology. So I think it's a very unfortunate part. But then I started wondering last 10 years, like, what is microbes for and where are the microbes? And when we were studying in first year BSc microbiology in 1988, I remember Sarvita madam teaching like notobiology. That is like a child is born, infant is born without any microorganism. And as it grows and develops, it develops its own flora. And there it comes like a flora. Come on, then what a flora has anything to do with? Like your skin has a flora, your eyelid has a flora, your eyebrows has a flora, your forehead has a flora, your oral cavity has a flora, your ear has a flora, your nasopharynx has a flora. So the flora is everywhere. Every opening, whether it is a urinogenital opening, whether it is a fecal opening, whether it is nasal opening, whether it is eyes, whether it is mouth, whether it is ear, and beside that your skin, different parts, underarm, and all other areas, there are different microorganisms, forms a consortium, and individual odor, what we call like peribody ka sugandh, वो भी एक gift of microbiological pheromones is there. And there I started wondering, like, microbes are beyond what we can think. And it is not just industrial microbiology. It is not just the microbiology at enzyme level. It is not just a microbiology for molecular biology, but microbes जळी स्थळी काष्टी पाषाणी सगळीकडे आहेत. कुठेही अशी जागा नाहीये की हवेत आहेत, स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर मध्ये आहेत, बॅरोफिलिक प्रेशर मध्ये आहेत, सरफेस वॉटर मध्ये आहेत, जमिनीच्या स्तराच्या वेगवेगळ्या स्तरावरती आहेत. आणि आता 600 फूट बोरवेलच्या खाली गेल्यानंतर सुद्धा सुडोमिनस रोजिनस Providentia redgiri samples. So this is a very interesting thing, that every part of this planet has a microorganism. And one of my friends in geology tells me that every stone has its microbiological composition, that is geomicrobiology. It's very fantastic and interesting. So out of different ohms today, the microbiome is very interesting concept that appeals to me. So every part, everything has its own microbiome. So microbiome of your eyelids, microbiome of your eyebrow, microbiome of your armpits, microbiome of your oral cavity, microbiome of your whatever openings that I just mentioned. And ultimately, if it goes back to the Charak Samhita, then he talks about the microbiome of the stomach, that is the gut intestine. And it has the whole control of your body. आणि मग आता वाटतं की बाबा लाजपाळा पाहुणे जरा जनाची मनाची पोटासाठी नाचते मी परवा कोणाची, म्हणजे पाहायला गेलं तर एक नाचणारी बाई पण पोटासाठी नाचते म्हणते, म्हणजे ह्याचा अर्थ काय आहे? तर तिथे सुद्धा मायक्रोबायम आहे. पोटाची आग विझवण्यासाठी कितीही प्रेम कोणावर केलेलं असेल करत असाल तरी ती व्यक्ती दुरावल्यानंतर होणारं दुःख ही भूक लागेपर्यंत आहे. आणि कडक भूक लागल्यानंतर तुमचं दुःख तुम्हाला विसरून जावंच लागतं, दुसरा काही पर्याय नसतो. आणि भूक तुमच्या दुःखावरचं पर्याय होऊ शकत नाही. भूक लागल्यानंतर तुम्हाला ते दुःख, तुमचं प्रेम सगळा दुरावा बाजूला ठेवून पोटाची आग विझवण्यासाठी मिळेल ते पाणी असेल, शिळं असेल, ताजं असेल, चविष्ट असेल, चविष्ट नसेल, ते खावंच लागतं. आणि मग मागच्या 10 वर्षातले पेपर काय सांगतात की मायक्रोबायोम तुमच्या सायकोलॉजीला डिफाईन करतं, मायक्रोबायोम तुमच्या वैचारिक स्तराला डिसाईन करतं, मायक्रोबायोम तुमचा मेंदूच्या फंक्शनिंगला डिसाईन करतं. म्हणजे आता असं वाटायला लागतं की माणूस मरतो म्हणजे काय, तर असं वाटतं की चेतनाशक्ती त्याची बंद झालेली असते, मेंदूने त्याला चेतना द्यायचं बंद केलेलं असते आणि म्हणून मग हार्ट अटॅक होतो, म्हणून मग त्याला दुखणं होतं, म्हणून मग तो मरतो. पण मेंदूही कंट्रोल कुठून होतो, तर पोटातून. मग म्हणून कुठेतरी म्हणतात की बाबा नवरी म्हणून मुलगी जाताना तिला बाहेरून सल्ला दिला जातो की बाई नवऱ्याच्या पोटाची आग शांत ठेव, त्याचं प्रेम सगळं पोटातून येतं आणि ते पोट त्याचं जर व्यवस्थित ठेवलं तर सगळं व्यवस्थित. ते बरोबरच आहे, त्याचं पोट व्यवस्थित आहे म्हणजे त्याची हेल्थ व्यवस्थित आहे, त्याची हेल्थ व्यवस्थित आहे म्हणजे त्याचे विचार व्यवस्थित आहे, त्याचे विचार व्यवस्थित आहे म्हणजे त्याचा आणि तुझा संबंध व्यवस्थित राहणार आहे. That means microbiome is controlling everything. And now last 10 years, if you open up the very big journals, you'll find that so much of there. So I would like to talk to you, connect ourselves. Like plantचा surface flora आहे, mycorrhiza आहे, endophytes आहे आणि ते सुद्धा तेच काम करतात जे मी आता माणसामध्ये सांगितलं. So microbial cosmos, त्याचं एक वेगळं विश्व आहे आणि इट्स अ रिलेशनशिप विथ आवर मॉलिक्युलर मेडिसिन. So what is microbiology? I said it was basically originated as a health concern, particularly microbes were treated as the hazard or a dreadful, and they were considered as a life-taking form. And today also we are talking about the COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 as a life-taking form. Seldom saprophytic, if at all any. So microbes don't inherit much of elastic in nature and they are flexible. This was one of the very even in the late 90s up to the mid 90s, this was a theory that microbes don't have inheritance capacity. Microbes are flexible like elastic material and you can just stretch it up and they adapt, they modulate themselves. And then if you look at the microgenetics today, the fundamentals of mutation, fundamentals of recombinant DNA technology, fundamentals of inheritance is now coming from the microorganisms. So a long back in 18th and 19th century, which was considered that microbes cannot inherit, microbes are not mutable, microbes are more flexible and elastic in nature, has now in the middle of 20th century proven that all the hypotheses were wrong and the large amount of genetic base, whether it is a recombination, whether it's a primary genetic concepts, they are coming from the microorganisms. So microbes type with reference to the nutrition, they are unculturable. They can be, there is a lot amount of unculturable organisms today. We always talk about the cultured organism, cultivable organism, but there are more than 99% organisms in the nature which are yet not cultured. So what number we are talking about, what the microbial diversity we know is only the less than 1% of existing microbial diversity in the nature. Oligophytic, those which require a very little amount of nutrients for their growth. Auxotroph, these are unable to grow in the absence of a particular growth requirement or a hormone. Prototrophic, they are able to grow in any condition and they are able to produce their own material required. So as I was taking, only a less than 1% of microbial potential has been explored and 99% or more than that microbes remains to be cultivated even today after completing 2 decades of the 21st century. Now out of that 1% microorganisms, you can find only about 1% of that 1% is going to be health hazard. That means 99.99% microbes that we know don't have any sort of health hazard associated with. And believe me, remaining 99% organisms which are uncultivated will have very little, like 0.001% of health hazardous, and rest of them will be more and more beneficial to the human kind or the nature or any life on the place on the earth. So the global comparisons reveal a decrease in the gut microbiota diversity, which is attributed to the Western diets. the lifestyle adopted by the people, the cesarean birth, the antibiotic use, which is basically what I'm talking. Antibiotic use is basically drug abuse, formula feeding in the infants, and the sanitations of living environment. This line has so much of concepts, so much of different keywords that we need to understand. Western diet. What do I mean by Western diet? Am I trying to blame the Western diet? No, I am not trying to blame the Western diet. जिथे आपण आहोत, जिथे आपला जन्म झालाय, तिथलं डाएट त्याच्यासाठी सुयोग्य असतं. वेस्टर्न डाएट हे वेस्टर्न लोकांसाठी आहे आणि भारतीय डाएट हे भारतीयांसाठी आहे. पण जिभेचे चोचले पुरवण्यासाठी आपण जे वेगवेगळे प्रकार खातो ते आपला पोट आपल्याला सांगत नसतं स्पष्टपणे, पण मायक्रो ऑर्गॅनिझमचा कन्सॉर्शिया बदलतो आणि त्यामुळे वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या व्याधी आपल्याला येऊ शकतात. लाईफस्टाईल प्रॅक्टिसेस खूप सगळ्या येतात, पण सध्या सिझेरियन बर्थ हा ग्रोईंग आहे. त्या दोन कारण आहेत. डॉक्टर जबाबदार जेवढे आहेत तेवढीच व्यक्ती जबाबदार आहे. सहनशीलता कमी झाली आहे, त्यामुळे पेनलेस बर्थकडे जाता जाता सिझेरियन बर्थकडे ऑटोमॅटिक. कोविडसाठी आपण अँटीबायोटिक घेतो, कॉमन कोल्डसाठी आपण अँटीबायोटिक घेतो. अँटीबायोटिक घेणं आता हा आपला जन्मसिद्ध हक्क झालेला आहे, त्याला आपण ड्रग अब्यूज म्हणतो. फॉर्म्युला फिडिंग ऑफ इन्फंट्स. पण मग अशी मी म्हणालं की नोटोबायोलॉजी इज स्टेराइल बेबी, and as it grows from the birth channel itself, it starts to come in contact with the microorganisms and the microorganisms start to grow on the body. Now when mother feeds the baby, there is a normal flow of milk, and through that milk she gets, baby doesn't just get the colostrum, baby doesn't just get the albumins, baby doesn't just get the antibiotics, but also some bacteria, some things to infant care supposed to get into the gut. However, if you talk about a formula feeding, then formula doesn't have those microbes, and therefore that will result into the altered pattern of developing the gut microorganisms in the baby, which is formula fed, as opposed to baby that is fed by the mother. Sanitation of living environment. आपण ज्या परिस्थितीत राहतो तिथल्या साध्या सोप्या सॅनिटेशन मध्ये आपण वाढायला पाहिजे. आता आपण काय करतोय, किती अल्कोहोल वापरतोय सध्या सॅनिटायझरच्या नावाखाली. आपण ह्याचा कधी विचार केलाय का? क्षणभर कोविडसाठी वापरलेलं सॅनिटायझर पुढे 6 महिन्यांनी 1 वर्षांनी काही कित्येक लोकांमध्ये वेगवेगळ्या ॲलर्जीज दाखवणार आहे. आपण ह्याच्याबद्दल अनभिज्ञ आहोत सध्या, पण हे प्रकार येणार आहेत. आणि मग नंतर लक्षात येईल की आपण रुटीन सॅनिटायझेशन सोडून एक स्टँडर्ड डिफाईन्ड सॅनिटायझेशन जे टॅग्ड आहे, जे लेबल्ड आहे, जे ब्रँडेड आहे त्याच्या मागे गेलो. सो दिस इज द थिंग्स that's where you're changing the microorganism. Well, the gut microbial diversity is decreasing due to the prevalence of chronic inflammatory disease such as inflammatory bowel disease, diabetes, obesity, allergy, asthma, renal function. आणि हे सगळ्या गोष्टी आज प्रामुख्याने भारतामध्ये कोविड मध्ये मरणाऱ्या व्यक्तींमध्ये जाणवतात. 60% कोविड मध्ये मेलेली भारतीयांची संख्या ही या कुठल्या तरी डिसीजने ग्रस्त आहे, ना की ते सिनियर अडल्ट. 50 वर्षाच्या आतली देखील माणसं जी मेली त्यांना हा कुठला तरी डिसीज आहे, आणि त्याचं कारण हे आहे की यांच्या गट मधली मायक्रोबियल डायव्हर्सिटी बदललेली आहे, कमी झालेली आहे, आणि त्यामुळे यांच्यामध्ये हे रोग आहे. म्हणजे कुठला तरी एक आपल्या जीवनशैलीशी निगडीत असणारा आजार हा वेस्टर्नाइज सोसायटीच्या याच्यातून जरी आलेला असली सवय, तरी त्या सवयीमध्ये आपल्या शरीरामध्ये होणारा बदल हा शेवटी आपल्या गट मायक्रोबायोटाला बदलवतो, आणि तो बदलला म्हणून आपली रोगप्रतिकारक क्षमता वेगवेगळ्या डिसीजेसला कमी व्हायला लागते. Since the immune system also develops and its development is influenced by the microbial component, early microbial colonizations can be a key factor in determining the disease susceptibility pattern later in the life. म्हणजे आपण वाढताना कुठल्या कुठल्या रोग जंतूच्या सानिध्यात येतो आणि त्याचा सामना कसा करतो, त्याप्रमाणे पुढच्या भविष्यात येणाऱ्या वेगवेगळ्या इन्फेक्शनसाठीच्या इम्युनिटीचं डिसिशन व्हायला लागतं. यालाही मी इथे उत्तम उदाहरण देऊ शकतो की आपण म्हणतो BCG वॅक्सिन इज वन ऑफ द फॅक्टर टू फाईट अगेन्स्ट कोविड. तसं बघायला गेलं BCG बॅक्टेरिया आहे आणि कोविड हा व्हायरस आहे, काही संबंध नाही, पण हे त्याची इम्युनिटी याला काम करते. इनिट इम्युनिटी आहे, नॉन स्पेसिफिक आहे, आणि हा पॅटर्न डिफाईन करण्यासाठी तुमच्याकडे मायक्रो ऑर्गॅनिझमचा कन्सॉर्शियम खूप महत्वाचा आहे. Evidence indicate that the gut microbiota is vertically transmitted from her mother to the offspring as a immunity. However, the role of external environment in gut microbiome and immune development is poorly understood as of today. And this is where very, very important thing we need to connect ourselves. Studies show that growing up in microbe-rich environments such as traditional farms can have protective health effect on children. म्हणजे गंमत कशी आहे की बऱ्याच आमच्या महिला ज्या नोकर वर्ग आहेत त्यांना वाटतं की बाबा मी एवढं सगळं पुरवते, मी सगळं एवढं देतो माझा नवरा आणि मी, पण माझी लेकरं कायम आजारी आणि माझ्या कामवालीची मुलं आजारी नसतात का? पण गंमत अशी आहे की ते मायक्रोबच्या सोबत वाढतात, त्यामुळे त्यांच्या शरीरामध्ये रोगप्रतिकार शक्ती वाढायला लागते आणि हेल्थ प्रोटेक्टिव्ह बेनिफिट्स त्या मुलांना मिळतात. तर जेवढं आपण मुलाला दूर ठेवू, जेवढं आपण स्वतःला दूर ठेवू, तेवढे आपल्या व्याधीचा सफर करण्याचे चान्सेस वाढत जातात. These health effects may be ablated due to changes in the human lifestyle, human diet, living environment and environmental biodiversity as a result of urbanization. म्हणजे केवळ आपण खातोय म्हणून किंवा आपल्या लाईफस्टाईलमुळे आपल्या शरीरातला मायक्रोबायोटा बदलत नाहीये, तर निसर्गातला मायक्रोबायोटा, हवेतला मायक्रोबायोटा, प्लांट मधला मायक्रोबायोटा, समाजातल्या वेगवेगळ्या घटकातून येणारा मायक्रोबायोटा हा जो आहे हा अर्बनायझेशनच्या प्रॅक्टिस मध्ये तोही बदलत आहे. What type of cells are found in and on a typical human body? Basically माणसाच्या स्वतःच्या सेल्स आणि बाकी सगळे मायक्रो, बॅक्टेरिया, फंजाई, आर्किओबॅक्टर आणि व्हायरस. Okay. Should a doctor consider a patient as a single human organism or a community of organism? I think it is a community of organism. पण आपण नेहमी ट्रीटमेंट देताना त्याला सगळा बाकी मायक्रोबायोम वगळून त्या व्यक्तीला समोर ठेवून करतो आणि कदाचित म्हणूनच प्रत्येक पेशंटचा रिस्पॉन्स हा दवागोळीला एकसारखा असतो. What is the community of the human host and its microbial cell? That is called a human microbiome. Where on the healthy human microbiome is the microbiome located? Every human body surface which is exposed to the environment, as I was initially telling, the skin, the eyes, every opening that is to the environment, example respiratory tract, digestive tract and urinogenital is having its own microbiome. Do you think the gut microbiome would be more like a tropical rainforest? I guess it has to do. Then talk about why that would matter. Does your body contain more of your own cells? आणि जेव्हा आपण वजन सांगायला लागतो की माणसाच्या वजनाच्या एका सेलचं जर वजन कॅल्क्युलेट केलं तर असं व्हायला लागतं की एका ग्रॅम स्टूल मध्ये 10 to the power 8 इकोलाई येतात. आपण दिवसाच्या काठी किती स्टूल पास करतो आणि तेवढं जरी इकोलायचं वजन कॅल्क्युलेट केलं तर माणसाच्या वजनापेक्षा जास्त वजन होऊन जातं. मग हे कसं अकोमोडेट झालं तर त्याचे एक मेकॅनिझम जे झालेले आहे त्या मेकॅनिझम मध्ये ऍडजस्ट होतात. There are nearly 10 times more microbial cells in or on our body than our own cells are. So combined together, weight of all the microbes and your body is several pounds larger than the body. But still, if we measure the whole body of an individual, it is a portion of it is accounted by the bacterial or the microbial mass. Otherwise, if you calculate in theoretical sense, the microbial mass will be much, much higher than the mass of the human being per se. But it doesn't happen in reality. What are your microbiome organisms doing? They are basically involved. And as I already preluded that recent research endeavors showing that माणसाची मानसिकता हा त्याचा मायक्रोबायोम डिसाइड करतो. म्हणजे एखादा विकृत माणसाचा मायक्रोबायोटा आणि ज्याला आपण सज्जन म्हणतो त्या माणसाचा मायक्रोबायोटा, किलर फिलिंग असणाऱ्या माणसाचा, क्रिमिनल माइंडेड माणसाचा, चोरीचा माइंड असणाऱ्या माणसाचा, खोटं बोलणाऱ्या माणसांचा हा कदाचित मायक्रोबायोटा इतर माणसांपेक्षा वेगळा असू शकतो. असे आशयाचे बरेचसे पेपर खूप चांगल्या जर्नल्स मध्ये पाठवलेले आहेत. ते प्रिडेटर प्रेचं काम करतात, किल आवर सेल्स और आवर अदर मायक्रोबियल ऑर्गॅनिझम. आणि हा निसर्गामध्ये प्रिडेटर प्रे रिलेशन चालू असतं. ते नैसर्गिक पद्धतीने चालत राहणं ही काळाची गरज आहे आणि त्याला आपण मदत करायला पाहिजे. prey and producer. They are eaten by our other microorganisms, or they produce vitamins or other chemicals for us and our other microbes. गंमत अशी आहे की जे केमिकल आपण लॅबोरेटरीमध्ये त्याच मायक्रोऑर्गॅनिझम पासून प्रोड्यूस करताना कदाचित ते प्रोड्यूस करणार नाही किंवा केलंच तर त्याची अमाऊंट खूप कमी असेल. तेच केमिकल सिंथेसिसमध्ये करावं लागलं तर वेळ, एनर्जी भयंकर जास्त लागते. पण मायक्रो ऑर्गॅनिझम्स आपल्या त्या पर्टिक्युलर कन्सोर्शियामधून ते पर्टिक्युलर केमिकल अगदी डिझायर्ड अमाऊंट मध्ये ज्यावेळेस सोडायला लागतात त्यावेळेस वात, पित्त आणि कफ दोष नॉर्मल मेंटेन करण्यासाठी, प्रकृती व्यक्तीची मेंटेन करण्यासाठी मदत करतात. Decomposers, they also work as a decomposer. They break down our food and waste, and therefore the microbes are involved in. So there are also unknown functions they are doing it. So basically, let us look at lower oxygen content, higher hydrogen sulfide content. Now here is the star shade shows that animal tissue. On top of the left, I show the plant fiber. Plant fibers, basically primary plant degrading bacteria will convert that fibers into the secondary degrading bacteria. So there is a chain. The end point of the first grade microorganisms is the source for the second lot of microorganisms, and that continues. So in the animal tissue also, animal tissue degrading bacteria will produce certain broke down product, and those broke down products will be the starting material for the secondary degrading bacteria. Then the bacteria will allow the growth of other bacteria, which will produce a short chain of fatty acids, methane, acetate, hydrogen sulfide, which goes into the lumen of the microbes. Then also the host microbial gene expression, as you could see here, that the bacteria and the host cell, the mucosal lining is very important. So villi, capillaries are important. So higher oxygen content will reduce basically the lower hydrogen sulfide content, and lower the oxygen, you will have more the H2S. The gut microbiome and immunity, basically the interaction of microbes in the gut, that is intestine, early in the life trains the immune system to distinguish between the self and non-self. आणि आज आपण नॉन सेल्फ आणि सेल्फ मध्ये कन्फ्युजन असणाऱ्या इम्युनिटी बद्दल जास्त बोलतो. त्यावेळेस आम्ही शिकत होतो मायक्रोबायोलॉजी, त्यावेळेला ऑटोइम्युन डिसीज हा कदाचित टेक्स्ट मध्ये फार नाविन्यपूर्ण नवीन भाग होता, आणि आज ऑटोइम्युनिटीचे पेशंट किमान 20 ते 25 माणसामध्ये कुठली तरी अलर्जी, कुठली तरी ऑटोइम्युनिटीचा प्रकार हा आढळून येतो. दॅट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द कन्फ्युजन बिटवीन डिस्क्रिमिनेटिंग सेल्फ अँड नॉन सेल्फ. So microbes and molecular medicine, then throughout life, microbes secrete the compound that regulate the immune cell, that can be T cell. These are basically the cytokines, chemokines, and other chemicals. And आपण proudly सांगतो की body produce करते. So ecological community of commensal, which is commensal, symbiotic, and a pathogenic microorganism. म्हणजे microorganism तिन्ही प्रकारचे असू शकतात. एकमेकांना मदत करणारे, एकट्याला मदत करणारे किंवा प्रादुर्भाव करणारे सुद्धा. Conceptual origin of commensal organism was there in 19th century. Pierre van Beneden has shown that animal parasites and mesmetes are there 264 examples from the human microbial cells outnumber the host cells by 10 times. As I already said, there are approximately 1011 type of microorganisms. It accounts nearly 1 to 3% of total body mass, generally a non-pathogenic organism. And if there is any, that is called opportunistic pathogens. Symbiotic with the host microorganisms, that is called the microbiota. So our microbiome organisms secrete the compound that may determine, such as like acetic acid, propionic acid, valeric acid, butyric acid, isobutyric acid, isovaleric acid, and large in response to what we do. Just the way we talk in a Lac-Opera, presence of inducer, presence of substrate triggers the gene expression. Same thing is going to happen. आपल्या मायक्रोबायोम मधला इतक्या बॅक्टेरिया, इतक्या मायक्रोब पैकी कुठल्या मायक्रोबने कधी यायचं सिनेमाच्या सिक्वल प्रमाणे त्याने कोणी कुठे यायचं ते ठरलेलं आहे, आणि ते कशावर डिपेंड करतं की आपण त्याला सिग्नल कसा देतो. जसा सिग्नल मिळाला तशाप्रमाणे तो कॅस्केड सुरू झाला, तशाप्रमाणे तो कॅस्केड बंद झाला. So our genes turn on and turn off in response to what our body's microbes are doing in the body. What information would scientists then use it for? A list of name of gut microbiome present. That's very important. Unfortunately, whatever microorganisms are there as a microbiota, all cannot be cultivated in the laboratory condition. It is not because anaerobic cultivation is not very popular. It is just that we have not understood how to grow them. They remain into the class of uncultured bacteria. A list of the major enzymes operating in the gut microbiome one has to know, and accordingly you can tailoring the pathways. What do you do that might change your microbial community then? Basically, as we mature and as we grow, the microbiome keeps on changing. With your puberty or during pregnancy, that means the physiological alterations are also imparting the changes in microbiome. Medical conditions and the treatment against the medical condition. म्हणजे कुणाला कुठला डिसीज आहे त्यावेळेला कुठल्या प्रकारची ट्रीटमेंट मिळते त्याच्याप्रमाणे पण आपला मायक्रोबायोम स्वतःमध्ये बदल करून घेण्याचा प्रयत्न करतो. अगदी मायनर बदल. पेट्स इन द होम त्यांच्याबरोबर पण आपल्याला राहायची सवय लावली. जसं मी सांगितलं, फार्म हाऊसवर राहणारी मुलं, ओपन एन्व्हायरमेंटमध्ये राहणारी मुलं, त्यांची इम्युनिटी आणि प्रोटेक्टेड एन्व्हायरमेंटमध्ये हाय प्रोफाईल सोसायटीमध्ये राहणाऱ्या मुलांची इम्युनिटी सारखी नसते. त्याचं कारण ते त्याच्यातलं मायक्रोबायोम बदलतं. त्याचप्रमाणे ज्या घरांमध्ये पेट्स वेगवेगळे आहेत तर त्या माणसांचा मायक्रोबायोम पण बदलायला लागतो. Many more factors are being investigated on how and what changes the microbiome actually responds to. Kind of microbes present, number of each type of microbe, that is a qualitative. Relative amount of each microbe, stoichiometry. हा जो मुद्दा है qualitative and stoichiometry is very important. कदाचित दोन व्यक्तीमध्ये सेम ऑर्गॅनिझम्स आहेत तरीही त्यांचा मायक्रोबायोटा वेगळा आहे. हे वाक्याचा अर्थ एवढाच आहे की दोन्ही माणसांमध्ये ऑर्गॅनिझम संख्येने जरी सारखे असले तरी त्यांचे स्टॉकिओमेट्रिक रेशिओ जे एकमेकांमधले ते बदलतात आणि त्यामुळे दोन व्यक्ती सेम बिहेव करत नाहीत किंवा सेम रिस्पॉन्स करत नाहीत. काइंड ऑफ द ऍक्टिव्ह मायक्रोबियल जीन्स आणि सगळे जीन्स सगळ्याच प्रकारच्या मायक्रोब मध्ये ऍक्टिव्ह असतील असं पण नाही. Compare your most recent meal to your classmates most recent meal and you can compare how the changes are taking place within the same class. Predict how your microbiomes, the best याच्यापेक्षा मी सांगेन की आपल्या घरामध्ये एखादी भाजी एकाला आवडते दुसरी भाजी दुसरीला आवडत नाही त्यामुळे सुद्धा त्यांच्या मायक्रोबायोममध्ये बदल होतो. Predict how your microbiomes may be different as a result of some of the things differently we do in our meal. What methods might scientists use to study the human microbiome then? Many of our fellow traveler microbes are as yet unidentified. That's what I was telling. Most of the members of the microbiome are still not defined. They have to be cultured, they have to be identified, which is yet to be done. In the past, to study a microbe, scientists had to grow them in the laboratory. They would identify and characterize bacteria by their colony characters, cultural characters, biochemical characters. Identified microbes by their physiological characteristics such as the oxygen use and the staining methods. But most of the microbes have never been grown in the lab, that we already have told. More than 99% microorganisms are yet not cultivated. In 1980s, scientists developed a way to analyze and sequence the microbial diversity directly. But it is impractical to fully sequence every microbe in the human microbiome because simply you don't know what gene comes from where. And even if you were able to, what would you do with the unknown sequences from undiscovered microbes? म्हणजे केवळ sequences डेटाबेस मध्ये असल्यानंतर तुम्ही सगळंच काही करू शकाल अशी काही परिस्थिती नाही. मग काय? DNA sequences can be used therefore as a marker to categorize organisms into the taxonomic groups or the barcode, and that's why we can reduce this. So what we do? Domain, kingdom, phyla, class, order, family, genus, and species. Now, two microorganisms from different domains would have a less DNA sequence similarity than the two microorganisms belonging to the same domain. The more related the taxonomic unit of two organisms, the more similar the DNA sequence should be. So what is the approach used for markers is the ribosomal RNA sequence, that is of the 16S RNA. RNA polymerase sequence, elongation factor sequence. Now RNA polymerase, DNA polymerase translation message is meant to be unaffected, unchanged, and a housekeeping function. So you can choose one of them. But presently, the 16S rRNA sequence has become the world's accepted methodology. So RNA polymerase, DNA polymerase, elongation factor. Though they are there, they are not used as the marker. But since all bacteria have 16S rRNA, some of the bacterial RNA sequence is exactly the same. No changes in the bacteria, so you can use the 16S rRNA. Now, what does 16S means? It basically is a type of RNA that defines a Swedberg's constant. So centrifugation. So certain sections of the 16S rRNA have the same DNA sequence from all bacteria, and certain sequences where you can expect certain changes. So you go to the conserved domain, and if you see any change in a base, then you will be able to estimate the evolution different bacteria from each other. The more flexible, more different sequences are not to be considered for defining a bacterium from the other bacterium. It is always from the variations into the sections. So this is the approach here. You have a two approach, what is called metagenomic approach and 16S sequence. The 16S based approach, as you see on the top left, the whole DNA is isolated. Then the whole DNA is then subjected for the amplification of the PCR amplification of 16S rRNA, and then 16S rRNA is sequenced, and the sequences are then compared into the database. So basically that will give you the output, and that output basically tells you what all type of organisms are there. Other one is extract the DNA shotgun. So you can have the patches sequences, whole genome sequencing, then align the sequencing, and that is called a metagenomic approach. So that will also give you with a different software such as a cake package, seed package, or a blast analysis, will give you what are the functions and what are the organ genomes variations are there. So very top on the right and very bottom on the right panel shows the 16S sequencing on the top and metagenomic approach at the bottom. So what might be some of the goals for a human microbiome project? So what do we aim for? So develop a reference set of sequence and a preliminary characterization of the human microbiome. So हा सगळ्यात पहिला भाग की एक रेफरन्स सिक्वेन्स तयार करणं गरजेचं आहे. जसा ह्यूमन जिनोम आहे तसा ह्यूमन मायक्रोबायोम तयार करा, आणि त्याच्यापासून तुम्ही प्रायमरी कॅरेक्टरायझेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन मायक्रोबायोम करता येऊ शकतो. प्रोव्हाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट डिसीज अँड मायक्रोबायोम चेंजेस. म्हणजे कुठल्या डिसीज मध्ये मायक्रोबायोम कसा बदलतो ह्याचा स्टडी करणं गरजेचं. डेव्हलप अ न्यू टेक्नॉलॉजी और अ न्यू टूल फॉर अ कॉम्प्युटेशनल एनालिसिस. म्हणजे की थोडं फास्ट करावं, आणखी मोर ॲक्युरेट करण्यासाठी कॉम्प्युटर बेस्ड टेक्नॉलॉजी डेव्हलप करता येऊ शकतात. एस्टॅब्लिश ए डेटा अनालिसिस अँड कोऑर्डिनेटिंग सेंटर. Establish research repositories for those big data. Then examine ethical, legal, and social implications of the human microbiome project. Evaluate multi-omic data just to understand the human microbiome's role in the health and the diseases. Now, who might be the part of human microbiome project? Of course, the immunologist, as I say, and microbiologist is the best. Then a molecular biologist, because you are going to have a metagenome or a genome. The enzymologist to understand the pathways, then taxonomists to differentiate and put them into the different classes, ecologists to understand how these fluctuations are adapting at all the changes, computer scientist as a big, because it's a big data, biochemist, again, not just enzymes, but many more pathways, mathematical models, statistical analysis required. Physicians, sociologists, and ethicists are required. Now to take a review, the human microbiome is a community of varied microbes or bare human hosts. The microorganisms outnumber the host by 10 times. There are hundreds of more microbial genes than that of the human gene. in the human body or on in the system. They are known to regulate your immune system, your health, your behavior. Scientists have cultured the microbes to isolate the DNA in order to take many copies, that is 16S RNA sequences, and then computational metagenomic analyzing. Hundreds of different scientists, mathematicians, computer programmers, social scientists are working together in the human microbiome project to develop the methods, the tools to understand this fascinating topic. So basically, what I want to say here is that, like I gave an example of human microbiome, you can have a plant genome, you can have its excretome, you have the links to be studied. See, what my lab particularly now, we have started, one of my students has started working with like connecting oral cancer with the microbiome. Sounds very strange, that cancer is caused by a bacteria, or cancer can be provoked by the bacteria. But it is needless to say that Helicobacter pylori has already been tagged with the peptic ulcer and the colorectal cancer. So similarly, it's not that tobacco triggers the cancer and the chemicals within the tobacco triggers the cancer. It might also be that the oral microflora of the tobacco addicted people or tobacco consumers might be different than those of the non-consumers. Passive consumers, smokers, they may have a different microbiome. And that would possibly give us a way to understand whether it will have anything to do, change in the oral microbiome basically is a consequence or it is a prerequisite to trigger the oral cancer. So at this moment, we have a project with ARU, and we are trying to make a baseline human microbiome data in next 2 years from the healthy humans. And once we have this data set generated for India, then we will go for the lifestyle patients. Actually, one of my PhD, as I already said, she's already working on the oral cancer and trying to make the microbiome. If there are any more questions, I would be very delighted to take them and address them in my capacity. Thank you very much. Hello, Mani sir.
Thank you, sir. Just few questions are there. ऑलरेडी त्या प्रश्नाचं उत्तर तुम्ही मला वाटतं दिलेलं आहे, पण तरी सुद्धा जरा मोर इलॅबोरेट करून सांगा तुम्ही. क्वेश्चन असा आहे की इज देअर एनी रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मायक्रो ऑर्गॅनिझम्स अँड बॉडीमध्ये आपल्या जी काही कफ प्रवृत्ती, वात प्रवृत्ती जी असते त्याच्यामध्ये काय आहे का रिलेशन?
मी मगाशी म्हटलं की चरक संहिता जर वाचली तर चरक संहिता आणि आयुर्वेदा सांगतं की माणसाच्या वात दोष, कफ दोष आणि पित्त दोष हे त्रिदोष आपण मानतो. पण प्रकृती ज्यावेळेस या त्रिदोषाचं संतुलन बघितलं जातं तर त्याला आपण अग्नी म्हणतो. आणि अग्नी बॅलन्स करण्यासाठी 7 प्रकारच्या प्रकृती होतात. वात दोष, कफ दोष आणि पित्त दोष. आणि वात जास्त अशा मल्टिपल परम्युटेशनच्या कॉम्बिनेशन 7 प्रकृती होतात. त्याचप्रमाणे रज, तम आणि स्वास्थ्य अशा 3 ह्याचे सुद्धा 7 प्रकारच्या प्रकृती होतात. आणि त्यामुळे 7 आणि 7चे ज्यावेळेस कॉम्बिनेशन होतं इतक्या प्रचंड डायव्हर्सिटीच्या प्रकृती, ज्यावेळेस आपण 4 नायट्रोजनस बेसेसची जिनोमिक डायव्हर्सिटी एवढी प्रचंड प्रमाणात जगात बघतो, तर ह्या 14 प्रकारची डायव्हर्सिटी एवढ्या लोकांमध्ये तयार होते. आणि ऑफकोर्स प्रत्येक अग्नी बॅलन्स जो आहे हा डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली चरक संहितेप्रमाणे हा त्याच्या शरीरातल्या गटमध्ये असणाऱ्या मायक्रोबायोटाचाच रिझल्ट आहे. तर त्याची डेफिनेशन कधी झालेली आहे? इंटरेस्टिंग, ते असं सांगतात की ज्या क्षणी कन्सेप्शन झालेलं आहे, फर्टिलायझेशन, त्या क्षणी ऍक्च्युअली त्याचा कफदोष, पित्तदोष, वातदोष बॅलन्स हा जेनेटिक लेवलला डिफाईन झालाय. आणि जन्म झाल्यानंतर मायक्रोऑर्गॅनिझम त्याप्रमाणे त्याच्यामध्ये एस्टॅब्लिश होत राहतात आणि मग त्या गोष्टीचा परस्पर संबंध आहे. हो, वातदोष, कफदोष आणि पित्तदोष हा मायक्रोऑर्गॅनिझमच्या मायक्रोबायोमशी रिलेटेडच आहे.
ओके 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 ओके. थँक्यू सर, थँक्यू. So I'm very much thankful to you for very informative lecture. You have related the microbiota with the research, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I hope that all our students, they will think in this line. They will work on the natural microbiota and carry out the research on it.
Thank you.
So once again, I am thankful to you for sparing the time on this Sunday, because in Delhi for Sunday on Sunday sparing time is very difficult, but you spared it for us.
Thank you very much. It was
Okay.
a pleasure altogether to talk to you and the colleagues and the students from our region of Shivaji University. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you.